Hi, good afternoon. My name is Chasen Ishii, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd like to now call to order the October 4th, 2023 Kalaeloa Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. And the time is now 11:03.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with section 92-3.7C, 3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's Kalaeloa board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, 5407 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. The HCDA communications staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clearer audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. This is a public virtual meeting, so to prevent any distractions, if you are not a board member, staff member, or HCDA's Attorney General, please turn off your video during the meeting. If you are providing public testimony, your name will be called accordingly. Please turn your video on, clearly state your name and affiliation, and proceed with your testimony. When you have finished, please turn off your video. In accordance with section 92-3.7C Hawaii Revised Statutes, if the authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you. Chair.
HCDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge you are present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect the following members are present. Vice Chair Higa.
Present.
Member Miranda Johnson.
Present.
Member Anderson.
Present.
Member Evans.
Present.
And Member Ray. Member Ray. Okay, and Member Apol and Member Hirai are excused.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have quorum.
Okay, for today's meeting, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted into the meeting respectively. First item of the agenda is the regular meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2023. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these meetings minutes? If there's no comments or questions, the minutes are approved as presented. Item number 2, decision making. Consider authorizing the executive director to execute a ground lease between the Hawaii Community Development Authority and the Kalaeloa Heritage and Legacy Foundation, KHLF, for the Kalaeloa Heritage Park located on parcel number 13073-D at 91-1940 Coral C Road, Kapolei, Hawaii, tax map key number 19-1-013-069 for a period of 5 years. Mrs. Lindsay Doi, Asset Manager, will now present HCDA staff report. Lindsay.
Good morning, members. This report is under tab 2 of your packets. It relates to the longer term agreement for KHLF regarding the Kalaeloa Heritage Park over in Kalaeloa. That's in 11.5 acre parcel that currently is under a right of entry. That right of entry does expire in November 17 of this year. So we're hoping to execute the longer term ground lease prior to that date. So that is the action before you today. That arrangement or agreement has kind of taken several forms in the past few years, but while we had the right of entry, it was the desire of the Kalaeloa Authority to have certain milestones for KHLF to complete prior to the execution of that longer term agreement. So in your report, you see the 8 milestones listed there. KHLF completed the first 7 fairly quickly. It was the last one, milestone 8, which pertain to the building approvals, building permits for the kauhale and a burial vault on property that took a bit more time. But they did complete that late last year, so that's why we are here today, progressing to that ground lease, which would be a 5-year, so I guess longer term, but not extremely long term, 5-year agreement with options to extend, with mutual agreement there. Basically, that ground lease that we're requesting approval of is essentially the same as what they currently do. It involves a lot of stewardship, maintenance, groundskeeping responsibilities that really do fall onto HCDA as the landowner under a quitclaim deed for the property. So HCDA does have these obligations to, steward the cultural, archaeological resources of that property. And we're very fortunate that KHLF has the expertise and the desire to do so on that site. So the ground lease would really be, I think, a mutually beneficial agreement. There are several duties and obligations that both parties, both HCDA and KHLF would do under the ground lease. But these again are items that they, really currently do as far as their maintenance responsibilities. They are requesting some commercial activities, which you see there on page 4 of the staff report. These would help offset their costs for doing those maintenance activities. The ground lease would not entail any payments by HCDA for those maintenance responsibilities. And in return, there would be, very nominal lease rent, maybe $1 a year. But no, essentially no lease rent charged for this ground lease. We do have the executive director of KHLF present on Zoom, Mr. Dwight Victor. If you have any specific questions about KHLF or the Heritage Park or what they do on site.
Well, thank you. Is there any questions or comments for Lindsay? Also, for the record, David Ray joined the meeting at 11:07. Welcome, Member Ray. Is there any questions for Lindsay? Member Higa? Vice Chair Higa?
This is a tort law question related to recent cases HCDA has had to deal with. If someone trips and falls in a hole in this park, will KHLF be liable at all for that, or would liability be HCDA's?
Thank you for the question. Good question. We've had similar instances at our parks. Generally, all of our leases, this one included, will have our standard liability indemnification language. So we do require KHLF, even under the current right of entry, to carry their own insurance, which would indemnify the state. But generally, KHLF's insurance would kick in. That's not to say that HCDA wouldn't be pulled into any litigation because, we have been despite that. But we do have the standard indemnification clauses in all of our leases and our right of entries. So their insurance would cover.
Okay, I just want to caution KHLF to be careful and make sure they are insured given how litigious Hawaii is. It seems like they're doing great work to maintain this, and I wouldn't want this wonderful nonprofit to, dissolve in the face of someone tripping in a hole.
Good point.
Thank you, Vice Chair Higa. Any other members? Are there any other questions or comments on the staff report? Yeah. Okay. At this time, we're going to go and take public testimony. We have Cara Rojas. Ms. Rojas?
Aloha.
Hello, Ms. Rojas.
Oh, okay, let me adjust my volume. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. we can.
Yes. Can
Okay,
you please state your name and then your affiliation or the the reason or organization you're representing, and turn on your camera if possible.
Wait, um, I don't see a freezing
Okay,
You don't
just
have
go
to-
ahead.
since I don't
Ms.
have the
Rose.
video.
Okay, that's fine.
Ms. Rose, just state your name, affiliation again, and then go ahead.
Okay, so on time, so far, is representing myself. And I looked at this item on the agenda first, in the lead, and any, organizations that work for the environment as you, great. I do have concerns. I mean, and one other thing for the other good thing is that, I looked about, the vending and everything. Kind of like half an event, half like, four would be four because I see part and the area in Moco Chiave, same thing where you're only allowed, one little sauce and then, like, because there's so much.
Maybe the audio is bad. I can only hear like every other word you're saying. Could you repeat?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Wallace, your connection is not is not clear. So we're hearing just portions of your audio.
Yeah, I don't know. The connection to this meeting is odd. There's no like video and only can raise hand. Can you hear me okay now?
A little bit better, a little bit better.
Okay, okay, let me start really quick. Kalaeloa and community member. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no, we can't. We're hearing just portions of your testimony at this point. I
Calling
think
in or
yeah, I think your connection somehow is not clear.
will I let me try disconnect audio and reconnect.
You're gonna reconnect? Is that what I heard?
Yes, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's a little
Yeah,
bit
it's a
better.
little bit better, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Kalaeloa community member and testifying on the Kalaeloa Foundation. And as I mentioned, I'm for any preservation of any historic place as is. I do have concerns as I look at their report on the issue of one, that water line and even also donating for the water line. Because as we know, the Kalaeloa Heritage Foundation is not important that they're going to go regarding. We know that they are allowing sharing parcels of land build up that 500 stall parking lot and with them. And that's not right because they are right now hand watering reports about the sensitivity. Yeah. One, why would they allow water lines so that you do not need to hand water and what exactly the water line the water issue and like going along as if to maybe possibly support later the water are built and they're putting in a water line and of course the other water line anyhow. So that's my concern there is what happened with that wrap and the fact that by the way, the last water line that 8 small are also on what was it that form that you need to sign and it's like you guys are together like working together Hawaii Community Development Authority and Kalaeloa Heritage Foundation somehow you guys are together and you guys are on there you are the ones that you water line, like authorized water line. So I'm not comfortable knowing that you're gonna streamline whatever you guys want is done. Because it's people really doesn't have any voice or anything on it. So that's my concern there. And on the top of that, I want to know what happened to the raccoon. That's the Department of Agriculture was asking to make win. And 10 days later, supposedly got the permit to go in. And then finally, on top of that, why is the Department of Agriculture saying, what's happening here to the Department of Health, knowing that that raccoon does have rabies that well. So watching out, for the native plants, Department of Agriculture falling or lacking in their responsibility of protecting, the island from the so there's a lot of excited together that we know is all connected. And unless one really looks and pays attention to all of this, it's very easy. That's how things get developed. So that's my testimony for agenda item 1. I know that I have my doubts connected them, you all, and public Department of Agriculture, but Department of Health. So
Okay,
Thank you, Ms. Ross.
Ms. Rojas, thank you very much for your testimony. Is there any other public testimony? No other public testimony. Members, are there any questions or comments?
Sorry, Chair, if I could,
Yes,
Board, Dwight Victor, Kalaeloa Heritage and Legacy Foundation. I know I'm not scheduled to provide testimony, but I just wanted to take this opportunity and say a few words about this long process that we've been going through with you folks to try to get moving forward, first with this stewardship agreement and then with this potential lease. And we would appreciate the efforts that are being done by Lindsay folks to move forward with this. And all of us, our staff and board members, are 100% in support of the lease. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Victor.
thank you, Mr. Victor. Members, are there any other questions or comments? Is there a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to execute a ground lease between the Hawaii Community Development Authority and the Kalaeloa Heritage and Legacy Foundation, KHLF, for the Kalaeloa Heritage Park located on parcel number 13073-D at 91-1940 Core Street Road, Kapolei, Hawaii, tax map key number 9-1-1-013069 for the period of 5 years. Do I have a motion?
Member Higa so moves.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Vice Chair Higa, seconded by Member Evans. Lindsay, can you please take the roll call?
Okay, members, the motion has been made and seconded. On that motion, Member Higa,
Yes.
Member Evans,
Yes.
Member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
Member Anderson,
Yes.
Member Ray, Member Ray.
You're on mute, Member Ray. Oh,
Oh, is that good enough?
Member
I'm
Lee?
trying to unmute,
there you are. All
Got
right.
but yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Member Ray. And Chair Ishii.
Yes,
The motion passes with 6 in favor and 3 excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Item number 3, consider approving pursuant to the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and decision and order dated February 2nd, 2022 for application number KAL 21-005 Gentry Homes Reserve Housing Program, including reserve housing unit pricing and Gentry's analysts and assumptions used in determining common area maintenance fees and reserves for increment 1 of Kalaeloa by Gentry located at parcel TMKs 19-1-013, 197, 198, and 199 in the HCDA's Kalaeloa Community Development District. No postal address. Ms. Lindsay Doy, Asset Manager, to present HCDA staff.
Members, this staff report is located under tab 3 of your packet. Today's action item follows a series of other decision-making items, starting in February 2022 with the decision-making hearing for the Kalaeloa by Gentry project. There was another meeting in August of 2022, which did require certain items be provided by Gentry for the authority's approval, which is what leads us here to today. So today, the authority is being asked to approve several items. Firstly, the Kalaeloa by Gentry reserve study. Secondly, the common area maintenance fees. So you have a budget, and that's what the common area maintenance fees are based upon. And then thirdly, the reserve housing pricing for increment 1. Increment 1 will consist of 12 reserve housing units. The entire Kalaeloa by Gentry project will actually have a series of 8 increments. But today's approval is for the pricing for just that first increment. So for the first 12 reserve housing units, there will be a total of 88 for the whole project. So those other pricing approvals will be forthcoming as it's ready to go on the market. For the first 12 though, staff did review the estimated monthly maintenance fees, which range from $330 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit to $410 a month for the 3-bedroom, 2-bath unit. We believe that those fees are reasonable given the proposed budget. We also reviewed the pricing proposed for those initial 12 reserve housing units. The sales prices will range from $610,000 to $685,000 for the larger 3-bedroom units. These prices for the reserve housing increment 1 will fall on average at the 125% AMI level. When you look at those sales prices in conjunction with the appraised fair market values, I apologize, there's a typo in the staff report. My finger slipped on the floor. It should be $712,000. So the reserved housing increment 1 appraised values range from $642,000, which is for the 2-bedroom units, to $712,000 for the larger 3-bedroom units. So that does represent $27,000 to $32,000 in shared equity for the HCDA, since we do collect, the difference between the sales price and the appraised value as our shared equity payment. The terms for these reserve housing units would be 5 years. We do have representatives from Gentry, Andrew Kamikawa and Deb Looning here, if you had any questions about their reserve study or the common area maintenance fees or those reserve housing increment 1 sales prices, but those are generally what is being presented for approval today.
Hey, members, are there any questions regarding the staff report? I have a question. So on the estimated budget for maintenance fees, what we're seeing, at least in other new developments, have been a huge increase in the insurance property costs due to the Lahaina fires. Was that taken into consideration, or do you know if it was taken into consideration in these maintenance fees?
Chair, can I ask Andrew Kamikawa from Gentry to come up to the table?
Yes, please.
Andrew. You can introduce yourself and your title.
Yeah, Andrew Kamikawa, Vice President and Chief Financial Officer for Gentry Homes.
Hi, Andrew, welcome.
Hi.
So my question is on the maintenance fees, which is a big insurance cost is a big portion of it. And what we're seeing is throughout all the new developments that are just coming to sale at this point, we're finding that due to the Lahaina fires and the density of the risk, insurance carriers are now increasing the property rates quite substantially. So when was this rates taken into consideration? Because we're only now seeing those rate increases.
Yeah, we did put together the budget prior to the line of fires. But even before that, we knew that, we've seen property insurance pricing going up over the past year. So we did leave some cushion into the budget, in case that inflation continued to impact the insurance costs, but it wasn't, we didn't make any additional adjustments because of the fires.
Okay, you may want to take that into consideration, because what's happening is a lot of the properties that are now closing are finding that the consumer is not very happy when they're looking at now the maintenance fees compared to what was proposed upon the sale. So, you were seeing as upwards of 100% doubling of the insurance costs on the property. So,
yeah, for our other renewals, we began to see the insurance carriers asking additional questions about, fire related matters. So we will take that into consideration and talk to our carriers to see if any adjustments are needed.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the board?
I just want to echo, Chair, your concern about the insurance costs.
Thank you. My second question is, the differential between the reserve housing and the market housing is between 27 and 32. I think, Lindsay, what you had mentioned is not a very large differential. And my concern is that what will happen, what is Gentry's plan if the market properties sell and the reserve housing properties do not sell? Because this is just the first increment.
Yeah.
So what is the plan prior to the second increment starting? And if you, let's say you just have reserve housing units remaining.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, we're gonna sell out, we're gonna try and sell out this, sell the entire project over a span of about 2 to 3 years. So, we will be selling only about 2, 3, or 4 reserve housing units a month. Which contrasts to trying to sell 200 units all at once in one shot. So we're hopeful that over time we'll be able to use our, marketing and increased incentives to try and absorb the units. When we first came to you guys, I think in August of last year, when we presented our reserve housing program, I think we listed a closing incentive of about $12,000 to $14,000, and due to the high interest rate environment, we acknowledge that we may need to increase that. So we are looking to do that. So that'd be one avenue we would take to kind of, make the homes more affordable for these reserve housing applicants.
Yeah, my concern is that you only have reserve housing units remaining because of the differential, right? I mean, you're not talking about 100,000, you're not talking about these large differentiation, right?
Yeah.
And so there is a concern because we do want to see affordable housing continue to move forward in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And, that is part of our mission. And so we want to see affordable housing. And I'm just wanting to make sure that it is one that can move forward for the people of Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, that's our goal as well. We primarily sell workforce housing, and some of the other units in these buildings will be in similar AMI ranges. But they just won't have the restrictions that the 5-year restrictions that.
Right, that's my concern, right?
Yeah.
Because you got the reserve units, which has the 5-year restriction, and the differential between that and the non-restricted unit might be very close. So why would someone select the reserve housing unit when I can get?
Yeah, we will be offering that, larger incentive, and 25 to 30 grand doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, for people in these types of AMI ranges, any amount helps in terms of the monthly payment.
Other questions, members? Comments?
Chair, if I can,
Yes.
Mr. Kamikawa, can you just elaborate more on the incentives that Genji will be offering? I know when you presented in August, there were a few incentives that you were gonna do besides, buyer assistance. So wonder for the benefit of the board, you can go over those incentives?
Yeah, I think the primary one that I think most applicants would be interested in is the clothing credit.
Mhm.
So instead of that $12,000 to $14,000 closing credit, we might look to increase that amount. And that can be used most people will use it to buy down their interest rate. But it could be used to, pay for closing costs, their startup HOA fees, those sort of costs. And that's one benefit of going into a new development like this. It kind of really reduces the amount of cash you got to come to at closing. Because for a lot of buyers, coming up with that initial closing cost money is a big a big deal. And for our project, we are gonna just require a very low minimum deposit when they want to come in and, say they're interested in the project, they want to get in the lottery, they want to see if they qualify. It's a very low initial deposit. We're gonna say $500 at the initial reservation, and then $1,000 at the actual contract signing. So that's much less than, saying they have to put in 10% or some large substantial amount. So we're hoping that'll allow people who want to try and get in, to just make that small minimum deposit, and they can look into the project further. And then we are still going to continue to work with the Hawaii Homeownership Center and Hawaii Community Assets to offer up financial literacy and coaching should applicants be interested in that.
Thank you for the clarification. Any other comments, questions?
Chair Ishii,
Yes, Member Evans.
to your point, when I was sitting on the HHFDC board, the developer at one of the villages of Kapolei came before the board and asked that the affordable housing restrictions be lifted from the last remaining units in their village because buyers were opting to buy the market units and not the affordable units. And the HHFDC board did ultimately decide to approve that request. This was a number of years ago, but just to mention that your concern is warranted. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Evans. And that is my concern, that we would come to the very end and there'll be this situation. So wanted to express it up front. Any other comments, questions? If not, is there any public testimony?
Karen Rojas wants to speak.
Okay.
Ms. Rojas, I think you wanted to comment on this agenda item. So why don't you go ahead, 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Okay.
Ms. Rojas?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can, better, much better, thank you.
Okay. And
Please
so,
proceed.
have several so this Karen Rojas meeting member commenting on
Excuse me, Ms. Rojas, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you just came very soft again.
Yeah, I'm gonna restart the timer, but can you maybe try to move closer to your microphone if that's possible?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
That's better. If you can kind of stay right there, I think that'll be helpful. So go ahead, 3 minutes.
Okay, I was trying to look at what I was gonna first read, but okay, let me try to do this without looking. But so I have several. Can I turn off my notes? So Karen Rojas, better commenting on. So first of all, I'm gonna comment on developer hunt. and also affordable housing. Number three, cost for number five, the Hunt Corporation has been documented. Have
Yeah,
fund,
Ms. Rojas, I'm sorry, excuse me, but we can't understand what comments you're trying to make. You're basically every other word's coming out.
okay, let me try. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Hopefully, it'll continue.
Okay, I'm gonna comment on Hunt Corporation, affordable house cost and previous testimony. Is that okay?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't understand what you're trying, your testimony.
Oh, sorry. Let me try.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes,
Okay, I don't know. I went to settings original sound. Okay, let me try this one more time. This is
that's
Tara
perfect.
Rojas. Okay, Tara
Perfect.
Rojas, community member, commenting on Kaulu Gentry Homes, agenda item 2. I'm gonna comment on the Hunt Corporation, affordable housing, the cost, and previous testimony given. So number one, Hunt Corporation has been documented by previous testifiers who have been in these meetings for years, and they saw the going through of many HCDA directors, the turnover of HCDA directors. And those who were for Aloha Aina and for protecting the environment, they were quickly, dismissed, and a new person came in. So Hunt Corporation has been documented to have made the soil, toxic, to contaminate the soil. They have been known to, desecrate land that is not theirs, that allodial title holders, lineal descendants hold the 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 title to. And for example, the veteran center that they're building here in Eva, it's noted and documented that the soil that they're building upon is toxic. So this Hunt Corporation keeps going with their Heva desecration and development. Okay, so that's one. Number two, Kaulu development and the affordable housing units. I'm looking at, it says 88 total will be in 8 at a time increments for the out of the 390 units that are priced at 500 to 600,000. And I just thought it was really crazy to read right here that the AMI, area median income, is, to ensure reserve housing unit owners spend no more than a third of their gross income on housing expenses. We know and we see the pricing of housing here. I know you're talking about the maintenance and everything, and incentives and closing costs and whatnot, bonuses and everything. But we know that even the fact that it's the price that it is, we know our housing costs are most definitely half minimum of our net income. So just the fact that these prices, the prices of these homes, yeah, I'm sure the affordable units as well that have restrictions, whether they're lifted or not, they are way beyond reach. They are stretching our local and Kanakamoli people here in Hawaii that they're not for the people, basically. And then I heard your concern that you said about the closeness of it, and if the insurance rates are going to go up, maintenance going to go up. If you thought to calculate that differently because of the Maui fires, we see as well, the injustice happening in these types of communities being built, which really look like, and you look at it now, like smart cities, just like the Kalaeloa master plan, and the fact that it's just it's just a lot. It's just out of reach. It's just too much. And this overdevelopment needs to stop. And finally, my previous testimony given were on sewer and on water. Now this is going to be a 390, I believe, 380, 390 more housing in this area. I've been going to every Eva Beach Neighborhood Board meeting, speaking on that. Still going to all of the meetings. I went to the defueling meeting. It's going to take about supposedly 3 months, and the fuel that's still going to be left. You guys have to keep in mind, instead of like after the fact, oh, after a fire happens, oh, after the fact that sewer issues happen, water issues happen. I'm just testifying, I know, just for the record, because we know decisions are made in closed doors meeting, as previous testimony was given on July 13th about the PIG, that these public meetings and testimony really are just for fluff, doesn't influence you guys' decision at all. But I'm still gonna come on for the record as well and state that this overdevelopment needs to stop, needs to be a pause. You guys need to really think about what you're doing to the environment, the true title holders, and to our water and our sewer, and just, it's not profit over people, it's people over profit. Just wanted to put that on the record. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Rojas.
thank you, Mr. Rojas. Thank you.
All right, thank you for testimony. Is there any other public testimony?
No.
Members, do you have any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion for the board to approve pursuant to the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and decision and order dated February 2nd, 2022 for the application number KAL 21-005 Gentry Homes Gentry Reserved Housing Program, including reserve housing unit pricing and Gentry's analysis and assumptions used in determining common area maintenance fees, reserves for increment 1 of Kalaeloa by Gentry, located on parcel TMKs 19-1-013, 197, 198, and 199 in the HCDA's Kalaeloa Community Development District, no postal address. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by member Ray. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by member Evans. Members, is there any other further discussion on this motion? If not, Lindsay, can you please make the roll call?
Members, the motion has been made and seconded. On that motion, member Ray,
Aye.
member Evans,
Aye.
member Higa,
Aye.
member Miranda Johnson,
Aye.
member Anderson,
Aye.
and Chair Ishii.
Yes.
Motion passes with 6 in favor, 3 excused.
Okay, next agenda item, monthly report on other status report. Executive Director Craig Nakamoto will now present the monthly report.
Hi, thank you, Chair. In the interest of time, the report is included in tab 4 of the packet and available for any questions. A lot of this has been covered by the presentation of Kalaeloa Heritage and Legacy Foundation. Thank you.
Members, are there any questions or comments regarding the Executive Director report that was presented in the packet? If not, is there any other testimony?
No.
All right. With that, thank you very much. For those of you joined on Zoom or in person, this concludes our business for today. The meeting is now adjourned and the time is 11:47. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.